Mbak Intan. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Wiwi, Prof. Nizam, and Bulandung. We are going to start the international lecture series. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all participants. Welcome to the international lecture series 10. This is our last lecture series in this year. And we are fairly delighted to have all of you here at this ELS today that we'll discuss about tourism entrepreneurship. Firstly, I would like to welcome our Head of Urban and Regional Planning Department, Professor Dr. Wiwandari Handayani, and our honorable guest lecturer today, Professor Dr. Hairul Nizam Ismail from the Center for Innovative Planning and Development, Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying, Universiti Teknologi, Malaysia. Our host lecturer, Ibu Maya Damayanti, and the moderator, Bapak Sariffuddin, who are joining with us here this morning from the Netherlands. Welcome also to our beloved lecturers from Urban and Regional Planning Department, students, and everyone who joining with us online from Zoom and YouTube channel. Before we jump to the main event, please kindly see the event agenda for today. After the introduction, we will have opening remarks from the Head of Urban and Regional Planning, and then we jump to the main session that will lead by our moderator, Bapak Sariffuddin, and then followed by discussion and also the closing remarks. And we are now continuing to the next agenda, that is to hear the opening remarks from the Head of Urban and Regional Planning Department, Professor Dr. Wiwandari Handayani. The time is yours.
Ya, thank you, Mbak Intan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, selamat pagi, salam sehat dan salam sejahtera. Our honorable guest from ITM, Professor Hairul Nizam Ismail, our host lecture, Ibu Associate Professor Maya Damayanti, the moderator, Pak Sarif. Thank you to be able to moderate this from the Netherlands. It's still very early now, in Nijmegen now. Thank you very much, Pak Sarif. Also, I would like to say hello to my colleague, to Bu Landung, Mbak Intan, and all the lecturers and participants who are able to joining us this morning. It's very happy and very grateful personally for me, because it is really great to have 10 lectures, international lecture series. Yeah, Mbak Intan has mentioned it before. So I'm happy that this year we can make it the 10 lecture series from different universities across the world. And glad also to inform you that actually this lecture series also can be accessed via our PWK TV channel. So at any time we can access and hopefully become very useful, not only for our students, but also to all who can access the YouTube channel. And thank you also, Pak Nizam. Very happy to have you here with Bu Maya and Pak Sarif on the topic of tourism, because we have discussed earlier, before this opening, that it's very relevant for us to have some shared learning between Malaysia and Indonesia, as we have so many similarities. And I do really hope that this lecture series can be followed up with some other research collaborations, and I'm happy to also invite Mumaya, maybe as one of our expert in tourism, to further make the communication and collaboration with Prof. Nizam. And hopefully also through this lecture series, we can invite interesting research from our, particularly from our undergrad and master, and also our doctoral students. I think That's all. And again, allow me to take this opportunity to express my gratitude and thank you to our speakers, and hope we may have a good lectures and discussion. Ya, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I offer to you back, Mbak Intan.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opening remarks, Prof. Wimandari. And so, without further ado, we will go to the main session. I will hand this session to our moderator, Bapak Sariffuddin. Please welcome, Pak Sarif. The time is yours. Thank you.
Baik, thank you Mbak Intan, Prof. Wiwi, Prof. Nizam, Bu Landung, Bu Maya. Good morning and welcome to our international lecture series on tourism entrepreneurship. Today we have two speakers who are expert in this field and will share with us their insight and also experiences. The first speaker is Professor Dr. Nizam Ismail. And today, I think it is the first lecture of him. He is from a Center for Innovative Planning and Development, Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying, University Teknologi, Malaysia. Welcome, Prof. Nizam. And the second speaker is Associate Professor Maya Damayanti from Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Universitas Diponegoro. Before we start, let me share with you curriculum vitae Professor Dr. Hairul Nizam Ismail. He is graduated from Bachelor of Urban and Regional Planning, University Teknologi, Malaysia in 1999, and then graduated from Master of Science in Tourism Planning from the same university in 2001, and postgraduate certificate in Research Methodology, University of Strathclyde, Glasgow, United Kingdom in 2004. And Doctor of Philosophy from the same university in 2006. He is expert in tourism planning and development and also in urban and regional planning. He is also a corporate member, Malaysian Institute of Planner from 2012 until now. He also registered town planner from Malaysia from 2013 until now, and he also received several research grants. There are more than 5, I think, and the last research grants in 2019 until 2021 is about a family business and transgenerational model for policy development of community tourism businesses and entrepreneurship. And he also published more than 10 articles in international reputable journal. And for the latest article in 2020, please go up, yeah. About tourist satisfaction on natural environment within Islamic built environment context in the Sharia compliant hotel in Malaysia. And he is also has several copyrights in the, yeah, next. Yeah, and yeah, one of them is eye marker. Effect of trip purpose on preferred walking environment and road choice of pedestrian in Tehran, and many more, I think. And the second speaker is Bu Maya from Undip. Bu Maya Damayanti, Associate Professor Maya Damayanti, Ph.D. She is from Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Diponegoro University. She graduated from bachelor degree in Undip, master degree in urban management from Netherlands, HS from Netherlands, and doctoral degree from University of Queensland, Australia. She also received several research projects. The latest research grants in 2020 about smart tourism, kerjasama antar pelaku pengembangan pariwisata Kota Semarang. And yeah, next information Mbak Intan. And this is the selected publication of Umaya, the latest article published in 2023 in Journal of Regional and Rural Development Planning, entitled Optimalisasi Pengembangan Desa Wisata Lerep Kabupaten Semarang berbasis kearifan lokal. And she is also the editor-in-chief Jurnal Pengembangan Kota, and also member of Housing and Urban Development Research Center and member of Smart City Research Center of Undip. Welcome, Prof. Nizam and Maya. Yeah, for the lecture, as we already know, we have 30 minutes, 30 until 40 minutes. And yeah, please, Prof. Nizam, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bapak Sariffuddin, for the introductions. And then, firstly, I would like to say my sincere appreciation to the Department of Urban and Regional Planning, the Faculty of Engineering, Undips, for inviting me for this session. I really appreciate it. Would love to have good sharing sessions with all of you with regards to the topics of tourism entrepreneurships. And I'm also like to say my thanks to Ibu Landungs and Associate Prof. Dr. Maya Damayanti, who communicate me earlier prior to the events. And I would love to have more session with all of you with regards to the tourism planning later in near future. So let me put my slide first into the screens. Okay. Please allow me. This one or that?
Hello, Bu Intan.
Yeah, I have a few difficulties in terms of technical. I will ask my assistant first. Okay, my research officer will upload the contents. Please allow me. Okay, apologize for the delay. Okay, here. I think the topic that will be addressed here is more about the idea of how tourism entrepreneurships will influence the destination plannings. And when you come into the urban and regional planning context, and how this basically finally will influence our planning approach, and how we try to have more regulations in terms of managing the context of urban planning when it comes to the legislation frameworks. So this is how I'm going to say the business entity, the business effort by the local community finally will give an impact to the urban and regional plannings. So how it will work very much depend on how basically I will able to address the issue of these two terminology, family business and transgenerationals. Okay, next. Okay, the idea is that there is a research arguments about the ability of us to understand what is meant by the sustainable development and resilience. This is the two terminology that's very much being said in the world and try to be translated in our planning system. And yet we're not so sure, because all about the sustainable development and resilience associate with physical plannings. I think this is probably some limitation of the town planners, including in Malaysia, try to understand the economic backgrounds of what has happening in the sites in order to understand how it can finally influence what is happening in the destinations. The context that I try to provide here is about tourism and how the business run by tourism people, the local community, will finally, in the long term, affect the area. And to downplay this part first, I would like to try to address what is meant by the family business and how family business basically will empowering the local community to develop their own place and finally influence the destination, including the morphology of the place. Yeah? So my research argument on this is about to understand the unique ability of transgenerations, and the transgeneration basically derived from what we call as a tourism family. So tourism family is one thing, the transgeneration is another thing, and it's very depending on the time frames and the chronology of the times. In which it's happening in the destinations. And in this case, I will also focusing on the survival of family generation and how it will contribute the community empowerment. And then, even though that some say that we need a very quick projects, for example, for a development ad hoc. In planning terminology, we like to have what we call as ad hoc plannings. There is things that we need to consider, that ownership by the local is more important, and they know better to how to develop the area rather than us, because they control everything. And my idea of presentation today is to talk about this using the terminology of the family business and transgeneration. Okay, so why it was important? This is in the orange sides of the slide. I will say that there is an opportunity for us to understand why the community very important. We do not install the new community. We try to use their ability, the existing ability, to adopt everything in the family business, in the business in tourism, and then finally influence the physical plannings. And then I will say also the advantage very much seems similar to what is happening in Indonesia, I believe, because when we talk about less about big project run by the government, we have a tendency to look at what we call as a small medium enterprise, where the local community are most preferred, okay, because they will learn and operate in a small scale first and later develop them into the more medium size, and probably they will go for highest technocrat way of styles. This is what happening in Malaysia in some cases. This is what I want to share. So for me, the example is very much probably similar to what happened in Indonesia. We consistently see this along our offshore area, especially in the islands. And then we think that this economic model can be a form of sustainable models, so that when we try to develop our tourism development along the coastal area, we try to see if this uniqueness is happening in order for them later to sustain the development. So we not very much depend on the government, but rather to the ability of the community to sustain that, to sustain it by themselves. Okay, next. So that is the whole overview of the idea of this research. So I try to simplify them in terms of this. We should see that family business as an entity existed in the case study, in the sites. And then based on the family business ability, we will try to understand that family business from generation to generation, let's say 3 generations for the 13 years, they will develop what we call as a transgenerational business. This is a new terms. I try to address this in the my latest publication in tourism, in family business entry for encyclopedia in tourism and hospitality, published by Edwards. Talking about this, and in future research probably talking about more on transgenerational to justify that it was a sustainable development and more resilience. Okay, so resilient in the case that the same community for the past 30 years has involved with this business and know what to do, and probably expanding the business, probably not. And then this is what we call as a sustainable development in the area of where we are doing physical plannings. Okay, this is the idea, the overall concept of my lecture. Next. Okay. First of all, we need to understand what we call as a family resource model. So this is some of the listing on the dimensions of what constitute of the family resource model. I would say that the most important in this aspect is about the resource dimension. If you look at this, I have a listing about 17 attributes, which is important in terms of the resource model. But if you look at the number 6 to number 8, we're talking about the decision making, where it's much very much where the idea of empowering the local community is happening. So we must allow them to have their own decision making, so that the idea of what we call as in planning bottom up approach will be fully employed. Okay, and then what is a unique in the family context in this case? The family context in this case, if you refer to the number 11 to number 13, we're talking about their ability to do good relationship among the community. They can communicate among the community and empowering them finally to get involved with the tourism developments. Okay, and then finally, the future networks. The benefit should be for the local community. If we install a big project, normally it will also install a new community. The foreigners, for example, the workers from the outside of the village. But yet, if we try to do the family, we try to encourage the family business in the tourism destination, we basically build up the network for them. They will try to search for their own network, and they invited the people probably more significant to their business, and they develop their own ability for the business and their own ability to develop the place. All these things happen with the idea that their decision making should be with the local authority, those are responsible in development, so that most likely we are as a town planners, if we are those who are involved in the local authority, as a facilitator rather than becoming the person who execute the project. So their decision making is very important in this case, because they will tell us what is their preference in development, and then we can facilitate them, and then they have say about what they want, and they will have some sort of thought and sense of belonging. This is all the term that we usually in planning. Okay, next. In terms of the existing literature, probably most of us as a town players not familiar what is the existing literature in what we call as a family business. I list a few, and if you refer to this terminology, tourism business is one thing. It's already being said for the past 40 years, 15 years. But when talking about family tourism in business, family tourism, family business in tourism, and later family business in tourism development, and later planning, urban planning, planning for tourism destination with the community. I think we must go back to the very basics literature and understanding. So this is some of the list. I will not mention on each of them here, but you can do some search on this definition based on the authors. And it's only quite recent, probably in the 1999, they're beginning talking about this tourism business, family business in tourism. So it's not, it's basically already 20 years, but for us as academicians, it basically new. And there are many things to be seen. They're talking a lot about, first, family business and survivability. Why family business very important? Because they want to survive. In this case, we're talking about family business as a model. And then we're talking about family business succession. What will happen to the family who run the business in tourism development? They need successions. So what is the succession will look like? They will running the same business in the area, or probably they will expand it. Okay, and then we're talking about family business, family and business relationship. How basically within the probably if only 5 to 10 family members, they are able to run the project for related to tourism. And what type of tourism, for example, the accommodation. I will discuss with this later. And then it's only in 2005 then people were talking about the family business in tourism. So one of the familiar authors is Getz and Carson's 2005 talking about this, and then they're beginning to expand until today. And then my interest to this also only developed in 2013, 2014, where I have some cases in African with my PhD student from Nigeria. And then we're talking about another example in Malaysia, and my communication with some authors like Muhalis, we're talking about how the internet managed to boost the small medium tourisms run by the family in the Europe back in the 1999 2002, and now they're expanding. And some people say that the A and B basically developed and support by what we call as a family business in the related to the accommodations. And then finally, we're talking about family business culture and how basically this must be considered in sustainable development and become a very important attribute for the resilience. Okay, this is the existing literature. Okay, next. Okay, this is the example. I think I would like to promote one of my terms or publication. We're talking about the family business and how it was associated with tourism management and marketing. So you can refer this, and if you want, you can contact me directly. I will give you the material directly, and how family business has developed into become an important consideration for tourism development, and later it become transgenerational issues that we need to foresee, because it's very much important for us in developing country to define them as sustainable development and resilient. Probably some people say that sustainable is different thing, resilient is different thing. In this context, I will say that the factors of the resilient influence what we call as sustainable development. It's open for debate. I think most of us will debate what does it mean, what is mean by the sustainable, whether the resilient is associated with the sustainable development or not. And but it's open for discussion. Probably we have to look at a different context when it comes to developing country. Not all can become copy from the developed country. Okay, the idea of my presentation will be in these 3 forms. We should look into the what we call as a venture creation. and then later build business foundation. You can see at the top of the tables, and they expand successful businesses. There is a three condition where the family business will transform into transgenerational business, then finally will influence this area for 13 years, at least 13 years. So if you see the stage of the venture creation, if you look at the blue one talking about most likely on the what I call as a business wealth. Okay, and then the orange ones, we're talking about the social emotional wealth. So there is two things that here that we need to consider. The first thing is that when we're talking about the community development in tourism, especially in the context of the family business and transgeneration, we must realize that they are talking about two things. They're talking about business wealth. They want to have something to make them survive. And then they're talking about the social emotional wealth. Social emotional wealth is about having the family to become part of the business, and they become a part of the why they survive. Okay, so these three, this is the attribute. I'm not going to name them one by one. Later in the next slide, I think I have the sub attributes. I think it will be much more easy for us to see. So move to the next. Okay, this is the more complete phase of what I have addressed in the last slide. If you see that when you come into the business world, often we see this in the venture creation where they're beginning to start the business. It was most of the time it's talking about the peripheral area, the rural area. Sometimes people say peripheral area, but we in the developing countries such as Malaysia and Indonesia, we love to say rural area, rural development. For them, in literature, they're talking about the peripheral area. And seems that we look at the point, at the geographical point of view on island and beaches, along the coastal area. And then the venture creation associated also with the low entry barrier is always simple setup. In the coastal, for example, we're talking about many accommodations run by the local people, and probably with a small number of accommodation, probably only 5 guest house, and then beginning to expand. And then this also provide them some niche area. They're not focusing with everything. They focus on the providing accommodation first. Always it become a niche opportunity for them. We can handle with the 10 family members, we can only handle accommodations of 5 guest house. So the beginning with this, and then they're beginning to mobilize their resource, and then often they run as an individual or spouse business, family and husbands, their daughter and their fathers. And they are the manager. So this is I think the uniqueness of what we call as a family business. They try to find their niche opportunities, and with their own abilities. If they can run only with the small numbers of family members, they're beginning with that number first. Okay, the same goes with the business foundation, and probably after their operated about 5 years, 10 years, they were talking about more on how we want to say that this will become our, not a part-time job, this is our job. So the idea of business foundation come into the light. They're talking about how this business can make us survive for a long term. Probably at the early stage, they are looking at opportunities in tourism as a to diversify their economy. But later, after 5 years, they think the opportunity make them able to survive only with tourism. So they become their priority later. And they're beginning to bridging relationship business, and they're talking about having food, having some services from their friend, their colleague, or the outside business in the area. And then finally, they're beginning to success, let's say after 20 years, and then they also will expand the business into the other thing. They are beginning to ask their kids or the family member to have more education on business and accounting. more business on how to manage the hotels. They keep expanding. And the second part of this that we usually forgot is about the social emotional wealth. Because they are family business, they trust each other. They believe each other and they trust each other. They're talking about more on how to support each other to do the business. They have a moral support. It's not about talking about employing one workers and then if you not perform and then you can go. If we're talking about this as a father who believe that his daughter can run the business and then they try to support. And then when the daughter think that probably her exhausted after a year, they try to support her daughter emotionally. This is a good. This is good in the term of empowering a consistent support system from the family base, and not need to do the training, but rather than having good support among themselves. And then many things happen at the venture creation stage. We're talking about informational decision making, and we're talking also about a friendly working environment because they know each other, and then they build up. They're beginning to prioritize their importance in terms of what need to be do. They're beginning to start, I believe, becoming more competitive. Okay, and later when they expand their success in business, they're beginning to allow other people to come in. Probably their family members marriage to other people who can bring benefit to the business, and then family pride is still there after 30 years, and they're proudly to say this is the product of the local community. And this is what I'm looking for when you're talking about the sustainable developments. So this uniqueness, these characteristics as listed here, I'm not discussing it in detail. It's the reason why we should look family business, and later the traditional is a part of what is grow up in the locality and then develop. So I try to put it in the context only in the tourism point of view. It can be in other sectors. It can be in housing. It can be in commercials. But in this case, I'm looking at the tourism. Okay, next. Okay. I'll give you some case study to put it into the context that people will understand. I use two example, two island in Chenang, Pantai Chenang, Langkawi. I think I'm not so sure if Indonesian familiar with Langkawi. I think Langkawi is one of the most popular island in Malaysia. And then the other one is Tioman Island. This is both island has been introduced as tourism attractions, tourism destinations for the past 30 years, 40 years. Since beginning of Malaysian, Tioman is already being introduced. Some of the Hollywood film has been films in Tioman, for example, back in 1916, 1917s. So if you refer to this, we discover, for example, in Chenang Beach, there is some sort of economic activities run by the family. When we focus to the accommodation, we see that it already begins from the 1918s. This is some list of the names of the accommodations. There is 3 in the 1918s, and the other family beginning to see the potential of the family business as well, and the number increasing in the 1919s and continues until 2000s. The same goes with what is happening in Tioman. In the 1980s, it's already 6 accommodations run by the family. This is the list of the names, and in many ways, in this area, these are the people what we call as a tourism business pioneer in the area. They try to support many things, including accommodation, to welcome the tourists and provide what we call as a more cultural-based tourism. Okay, next. Okay, this is to give you some idea. This is the Pantai Chenang, Langkawi. Some overview on the some overview in terms of the map. The importance of the Pantai Chenang, nowadays make it deserve to have their own development planning. So Pantai Cina is one of the earliest what we call as a special area plan designed and addressed by Department of Urban and Rural Planning in Malaysia. So this is an example where the focus is to make sure the uniqueness of the accommodation run by the local community will be preserved and try to help them, assisting them in terms of the spatial developments, physical development, how to make sure that all this accommodation by the local community, which is very unique in the area and become the reason why the tourists like to come, need to be managed and organized. Okay, because of this, because the importance of them. Next. Okay, this is an example of the small and medium development in the area. If you notice, this is the picture from if you notice, this is the picture after 30 years, 40 years. They're still in somehow maintain the locality context. And it's not a big hotel. It's only what we call as a more likely a budget hotel, but the cleanliness and the hospitality very much associated with the locality and very much on the family point of view. Right? And this is also, you can discover this also many in Indonesia. Next. The same goes with the Tioman Islands. I will be in the Tioman Island next week. So because I want to see what is happening here after visiting them 6 months ago. The same goes with is happening in Tioman Island. They are family business. This is the list. And then they develop the accommodations based on the local context. Not excessive development, but have a tendency to be close to the offshore, where the physical planning should take place to have some control over the development. But the local authority managed to secure the uniqueness of this local community development with good discussion among them. Okay, next. This is some overview of the local community. If you see in the picture, some of them already developed not only the accommodation but also the package. They even offer the Western food if it was the preferable menu by the foreigners. And then they offer also a tourism package. Please remember, the idea of having another package is always consistent with the aim what we have discussed earlier. They build up the network. If the tourists want to go for a deep sea, they have a counterpart among themselves or among outsider people to offer the activities. Okay, next. Okay, so I base this on the research. So some of this, when we're talking about research approach, my research mostly about having in-depth interview with the those we can categorize as a family business people. So some of these owner, and most of them, the owner also the manager. Sometimes the owner also the receptionist. So this is interesting in the family business. The owner become the people who welcome the tourists. This only happen in, this is the value of the family business and traditional business in tourism development that appreciate by the local, appreciate by the foreigners, appreciate by the tourists, because it has sense of belonging, a sense of welcomes. This is names, things that associate with a good planning system. Okay, next. Okay, I think I'm not so sure what the time is, but I come into the end of the presentation. When it comes to the family business, when I compare between two case study, you will see that this is the process that they have been through for the past 14 years. Okay, the first thing is when we're talking, this is the conclusion that I can say. If you see at my left, we're talking about what is happening in the Chenang Beach, and the right left is what is happening in the Aibatan village. And when we compare, we try to understand what is the attribute we see the similarity. This is the similarity that we discover of a pyramid, their priorities. Okay, basically they do this adapt and change. They want to do the business because they see it as an opportunity and a niche area that they can handle. And then they're beginning to develop what we call as a smallness. It's only a cover, probably 1 acre, 2 acres, and then they think we can do the business. We can welcome the tourists by providing them with the accommodation. Very limited space, but they try to increase the quality by the sense of the welcoming, the sense of them as a local community. And then they're beginning to bridging relationships because they have to invite other people in the village to develop the business. And then they're beginning to passing the baton. So after 10 years, they're beginning to ask their kids to get involved. Probably from 5, only 3 want to involve. But it's already sufficient enough for the family business to sustain. In some cases, in Tioman, they ask their kids after their secondary school, means that after their reach age 17 to 18, they ask their kid to continue their degree or diploma in business study, in accountant, in hospitality, in many area or discipline associated to what they want further expand in the business. This is happening in Malaysia, in both area, in Tioman Island and Lakiu Islands. Okay, they see this is opportunities to sustain what their family has begin. And then what unique about this thing also, what is also happening in my case study in the Nigeria, is that they have a low entry of barrier. They often having sufficient income by self-funding. Okay, they only do the business without borrowing from the bank. That means they have no debt. They can expand according to their ability. Okay, so they do not worry much about whether they should pay or not. They are worried about what the product they want to project in their area. And then all of this is about having what we call as a survivability. Okay, they must run this because this is the only thing that they have. So they can make sure that the business will run in the long term. It's not about one-off project and after 5 years, because they cannot pay the debt, they will just stop the business. So this is the unit of about the family business in terms of the wealth, business wealth. Okay, next. In terms of the social emotional wealth, we're talking about how the social emotional within the family has increased their ability to expand the business. First, in terms of the priority, we're talking about friendly working environment. They know each other. They know their attitude each other. They know where the father need to have a hard time with their kids because they know how lazy they are, for example. They know how good they are. So this parent of the main person will be able to locate the spec of job according to their ability. And this is what we call a friendly working environment. And most of the time, the decision is about informal decision making. They have to discuss with each other, heart to heart, which is more in many ways better in improving the ability of the person to work harder. And when it comes into problematic issue, there is a veto from the father, for example, or their mother, for example, right? Where they have to follow. They will not quit the job because they have to respect their father. So this is the nature of the family business in terms of the social and emotional that allowed the development and consistent initiative to develop the business in tourism. And then the attitude beginning to what I say, they have a attitude, because this is the only business that they have. They must secure their family business. This is they will do this in the name of their family. So, and then they also have what we say as a contextual embeddedness, where the local community surrounding of the area will support them. Often they will also say, hey, if you have a problem, we can help. And then it's not about they need to pay it back, but rather than to make sure that people in their village is in good conditions. When especially Islamic value come into this place, when the Islamic value come where they have to help their friends. It doesn't matter, or if they have a problem, we must help. And they do not ask themselves to being paid. This is the nature that we usually have in the village. And then they're beginning to emotionally say that the construction of the nation change. They learn more, they know what is the problem, they know how to handle and adapt the issue, the emotional, emotional stability on the problems of the business is more conceivable. And then, and most of the time, they will say that the family welfare is the priority. So the money will goes around the circle of the family and people outside the family, especially within the village. So everyone get their piece of cakes. Everyone in the family and in the village. And then finally, they think that this is their own business. They have a sense belonging of this because they already run it for quite some times, and they must protect the business. This makes the business sustain and empowering the local community. This is what I try to say in many of my publication, that the concept of the resilient and the concept of the sustainable development will not be able to portray what is happening in the developed country until we know this kind of things. One of them is a family business. And nowadays people say transgenerational business, because they already carried the business for almost 30, 40 years. Okay, next. Okay, this is
Prof. Nizam.
Yeah.
Let me remind you that the time is 3 minutes left.
Okay, thanks God. This is the final slide.
Okay.
This is the final slide. Okay, this is the example what is happening. I try to put into the spatial temporal context. I am top laners. Most of you are top laners as well. Okay, this is basically things that are happening at the early stage, 1918s, where they try in the initial states, they try to see the transaction process for main family economic activity with a full commitments, and then later in the following 5 years to 10 years, they're beginning to adapt any conflict between the family. They're talking about the survivability, law entry barrier, bridging relationship. All the list that you see here from number 1 to number 7 is the attribute that is happening during that period. Probably need to be studied more. You also can see this in my other publication if you wish to read more on this, and how I discuss about the attributes in few journal articles. And then even when the economic crisis happening in 1997, they can still survive because they own the place and they know how to adapt. And when they're beginning to adapt and change, and then finally they're passing the baton, and the economics and the secure business activity in the area for a long term still in there for until now. Okay, so basically this is happening. This is prior to 2010. I'm not yet describe what is happening for the past 10 years, which is soon I will try to do and try to make some publication on that. Okay, I guess that's all. Just some final remarks. I think we should consider family business and resilience as part of the factor in governing urban-rural development, right? And then try to understand how basically they're able to understand what is the short trend and seasonality and to cope with that. And some of the government policy not able to see this because they know better. Okay, and this is one of the resilient factors. We forgot that community empowerment require this kind of the community who understand the family and run that business for the 13 years. And then I think this is one of the solution for to develop the local community. As what I heard that Indonesia are always looking at this. In Malaysia, the same goes with Malaysia. I think to make sure that rural development sustain the economic, one of them is through this. So I try to put the context of tourism and the family business in order to understand how we can cope with these challenges in the rural development. So from the perspective of autonomous, we should look at this so that the spatial development, the physical development can be managed well in the near future. Okay, I think that's all, Bapak. Sariffuddin, I hope it's sufficient to highlight the point that I try to do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Nizam, for the fascinating speech. And before we go to Bu Maya lecture, let me summarize the material. The idea, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, Prof. Nizam. The idea is transforming or empowering the family member to be a family business or trans generations. And this process is divided into three phase or three level, from venture creations, builds business foundations, and expand successful business. So here we empower or change the character of households to be a business member, and then it will change perhaps the physical house and also the neighborhood and then the village itself. And I saw there is some question in chat box, but I think we can discuss later after Bu Maya speech. Okay, the next speaker is Associate Professor Maya Damayanti, Ph.D. She's going to talk about tourism entrepreneurship in developing rural tourism. Welcome, Bu Maya. The time is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Sarif. I haven't checked my voice. Can you hear me clearly, Pak Sarif?
Yeah, Bu. Very clear, Bu.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yeah, thank you, Prof. Nizam, for your very interesting presentation. And okay. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will present. Wait a minute. Let me go to this. Wait. Okay. Today I will present. My topic is about tourism entrepreneurship in developing rural tourism. Actually, this. Presentation is prepared by Pak Hadi Wahyono and me. Should be Pak Hadi who present today, but he's not able to attend this meeting. So yeah, I hope I won't make the audience confused, because my presentation is maybe completely different compared to Prof. Nizam presentations. My presentation is very simple. Okay. Yeah. The first one is for the introduction, that this is the what happened in Indonesia. That Indonesia, we have, as you know, we have a lot of villages, and then with unique potential, and then all of the villages want to be developed, and they want to improve the welfare of the villagers. And tourism is seen as one of the economic engines. Sorry. Just minutes. Yeah, one as the economic development engine that can contribute on the welfare of the villages. So based on that perspective, based on that perspective, a lot of our village has transformed into tourist village. And Indonesian Tourism Village Association already calculate or already have a data that this is the data, as you can see in here, that in 2020, only 1,838, but nowadays is maybe almost triples the number of tourist villages in Indonesia. And then actually each village has no uniform development approach, and it depends on their uniqueness. It depends on their dynamics. It depends on the people. It's depend because of their characteristics different. That's why their development approach are different. And today I will present about the particular aspect that is entrepreneurship of the development of the rural tourism in Indonesia. So this is the distribution of the tourism village in Indonesia. I'm sure that the number are increasing and still increasing. And as you can see in here, this is quite a lot, and especially in Java Islands, more than in average is more about 300 somethings, and also in East Sulawesi Selatan and South Sulawesi is almost 500. So as you can see from this distribution that the villages has think that developing tourism activity can encourage the peoples and improve the welfare of the peoples living in the village. So, and then, sorry, this one is the part related to the literature review. This is about what is the tourism entrepreneurships. So basically, tourism entrepreneurship is defined as the searching for the changes, respond to it, and then exploit as an opportunity. Usually, the entrepreneurship is pursuing the opportunity of the managing the resources to gain, of course, the benefits, of course, the improvements, and of course, the how to call it, their their willingness to gain more profit, not only for them but also for the community as the whole in the context of tourism village. And entrepreneurs usually they use innovations, and they manage the resource what they have, and they seek the opportunity that the environments or the external environments can promote or can have the opportunity for that innovations. Sorry for my English. Okay, this is the characteristic of the entrepreneurs. First one, as I mentioned before, there's innovations, and then in the entrepreneurs who can be individuals or groups, they will create and exploit the opportunity. And they also, usually they are risk-taking, because sometimes, even though they already calculate the risk, sometimes the environments or the external factors cannot predict it. So for example, just like when we were in the COVID-19 pandemics, that the tourism activity need to be stopped. The entrepreneurs need to take a break, and then they need to find a new way to improve or to get the challenge to be survive in that situations. This is the risk taking. And then entrepreneurs usually also the person who do the value creations. So they will identify the needs of the markets, just like the market survey, doing the market survey, and then they look at their resources, and then they will define what kind of products that will satisfy the markets. That's why in the next items, entrepreneurs will focus on the customers, what the customer wants. Okay, because the customers are very dynamic, so their product should be flexible as well. And in this case, the entrepreneurs need to have the management skills to manage or to organize their resources and make the decision, quick decision, flexible decisions. And also they have a good adaptability, flexibles, respond to the changes of the markets. Not only the market, may be related to the policy. In this case, is the policy related to the rural development is quite dynamic in Indonesia. Maybe Prof. Wiwi already mentioned that Indonesia has village funds, and yeah, this is one of the dynamics of the policy related to the rural developments. Okay, and then I think this one is related to if the entrepreneurs need to develop a new business, they need to see the opportunity, and they need to have the entrepreneurial ability. And then there's also a point that they need to have willingness to make the support or the willingness to find or to seek the strategic options to develop their business. Okay, and then these figures or these frameworks are describing about the point in the previous ones. So as you can see from the frameworks, that's actually in doing the business, external factor, internal factors will influence the entrepreneur's decision on doing their business. Okay, in this case, in the rural tourism developments case, it also will influence the entrepreneurs in the village to choose what kind of activity, what kind of business that can be developed in the rural area. And then they will find the financial and non-financial support to pursue or to apply or their decision related to the attraction or to the business that they will develop. Okay, and a minute, this one is related to the tourism entrepreneurship as mentioned before. And then why we need to discuss about tourism entrepreneurships, because in reality, tourism entrepreneurship has the potential to stimulate economic growth. It means that without entrepreneurships, the rural, maybe the development in the rural, in the village, related to the tourism activity may be not as good as the expectations. As I mentioned before, that Indonesia has quite a lot of tourist village, but not all of them develop in the good way. That's why Indonesian government has some evaluations to categorize the development of the tourist village in Indonesia. I think there's in the beginnings levels until and then the good levels until advanced levels, and also independence level that categorize the progress of each village in terms of tourism developments. In this situations, tourism entrepreneurship has taken the important roles that will decide or that will define in which the progress of each tourist village. Okay, and then also tourism entrepreneurship can contribute to the preservation and promotion of the local culture and heritage. In this case, what we mean is tourism entrepreneurship, when they look at the products and when they decide what kind of products, they will look at their local culture and heritage, and then locals, how to call it, locals in or indigenous resources that can be promoted as the main attraction in the village. Okay, this figures related to the community-based tourism that commonly applied when we develop tourist village in Indonesia. Things in this case, the main point is we work with the community. When we develop the tourist village, the main actor is the community, even though not all the community are involved in the tourist village developments. I will talk about that later. Okay, and this one is related to what is the rural tourism itself. Rural tourism is usually they provide nature-based activities, agriculture. Based on that one, they provide the activity related to nature, agriculture, lifestyle, and then sightseeing related to that ones. And then it is very quite popular in Indonesia because mass tourism is already the development is mass tourism is quite good as well in Indonesia, but people are trying to find a new experience, and rural tourism has providing opportunity for the tourists to find that new experience. In that place, they can do a lot of activities. Okay. And why rural tourism develop is not only to provide the experience, unique experience for the tourists, but also it brings profit directly to the people living in the rural area. Okay, as you can see that Indonesia has a lot of village, and then if we look at the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that no one left behind, it means that people living in the rural area also have the opportunity to be in the level of welfare, or they have the opportunity to gain benefit from the developments by developing the rural tourism. This is the example of the rural tourism in Tubing Bon Pondo. Bon Pondo is a tourist attraction located in Temanggung Regency. And then initially, this village was developed as a KB. KB village is I think it's related to the village that they can do sustainable way related to the family, just like doing some program related to the elderly, doing some program related to the children's. They are quite success on that one. And if a village has that kind of titles, usually they're quite famous, and then a lot of people come and want to learn from them about that about their success story. Because there's a lot of or there's a change that people come to the village. The villagers think that they also have another potential to be developed, that is natural resources. And the natural resources in this village, particularly related to the irrigations, or yeah, I think the irrigations related to the paddy fields. And then they think that they can use that irrigation as one of the tourist attractions. So they develop tubing activity. I think there's some pictures in here. This is a tubing activity. So the peoples can do tubing here. This is quite famous and quite fun actually. And based on that, once more people come to this village, and it means that more profit for the villagers. So from these examples, we can conclude that actually the peoples in the village has the entrepreneurial ability to see that there's an opportunity to gain markets, because of previously they are famous with the KB village. As the KB village, they can see that there's also opportunity to gain markets, the one who visit, and the other one is the potential market, that is the person who want to experience tubings, river tubing in this area. Okay, this is the first examples. Yeah, and also after they develop river tubings as the main activity, they also develop just like exploring the village and seeing the what to call it, domba is the goat farms, and then also they also promote local dance, and they also promote just like coffee plantations in that area. And also Salah is snack food. I think Salah is snack food, if I'm not wrong. And also related to the honey plantations. So they try to find the locals resources to be developed. And of course, the main attraction is river tubings. But they also facing the problems that actually, because they use the irrigation canals, that actually the main owner or the main managers of this canal is the central governments. And yeah, it seems like they're doing illegally, or they need to have approvals from the minister, and it's quite difficult because the minister will think that actually the main function of this irrigation is only for the field, yeah, the watering the fields, not for the tourism attraction. So this, yeah, then aside what to call it, beside they need to get the permission or support from the governments, they also opportunity to develop the other attraction or develop the other resources in that area, as I mentioned before in here. So based on that case, also based on my experience visiting some of tourist villages in Indonesia, I have some point related to the challenges of the developing a rural tourism or tourist villages in Indonesia based on the entrepreneur perspective. The first one is who are the entrepreneur in the rural development process actually. Usually, it can be an individuals, or in some literature, they call it as local champion or local leaders. And then this one is the individual who has an idea, okay, we can develop that kind of activity. And then after they have the ideas, they encourage people and they manage the people in their surrounding to first to have the willingness to develop their area. And then the second one is to participate in the activities. This is the individuals. But there's also my question in here, are they local peoples? Based on my experience, they are not always local peoples. Indeed, if they are local peoples, it will be easier for this kind of entrepreneurs to gain support from the villagers, because the villager already know them. But I met someone just like she's the teacher in that area, but she live in the other area, and then she's quite successful. Encourage the people, also not only encourage but manage the tourism development in the rural area. The other one is the case that I met is I think in West Java. There's he's an artist, and then he saw that rural area has potentials as the individual or the villagers has the arts and skills, and he encouraged people there to develop their skills. So this is the individual. The other one is the entrepreneur can be a group of people. So in this case, in Indonesia, we have three kind of actors in the road tourism development. We call it as Assoc Darwis. Assoc Darwis is a group of actors in road tourism. This group consists of maybe a group of accommodation provider, a group of dancer, a group of transportation providers, and others. So they make a big groups, and they can decide what kind of tourism development that they will doing in there. And then the other one is BUMDes. BUMDes is business unit of a village. This one is more legals. Because in Darwis they don't have any call it a formal position in the village government, but BUMDes has the formal position in the village governments. And this is the business unit of a village. And then the other one is cooperative. And this also, some of the village are quite success with this kind of forms, these groups. And yeah, this is a group of people. So who are the entrepreneurs? This can be individual or a group of people. And then, yeah, the next is, I want to conclude that the challenge is the entrepreneur need to decide what kind of product that or attraction that they need to develop. Too many tourist village, as I mentioned before, that Indonesia has a lot of, just like thousands of tourist village in Indonesia with similar product. Usually is agro. They are doing this. We have a concept of agri-tourisms, or yeah, they based on the agriculture or maybe farm or something like that. So each village need to have a unique selling proposition, just like they need to be stand out in the competitions of similar products. You can see in these figures, the left side is the figure of Umbul Pondok in Klaten. This is one of the village in Central Java. They have, I think, 5 springs in that areas, 5 water springs. And in the biggest ones, that is Umbul Ponggok, Umbul is springs, Ponggok, spring Ponggok. They create, how to call it? Yes, just like in a pool, very clean pool. This is just like a pool, and in that pools, the tourists can take the pictures, such just like they are underwater photo, but actually this is a pool. It's just like a swimming pool or pool, and they provide fish, and they also provide some properties and then take picture in that ones. And in the other one is in the Samiran village in Boyolali. They have advantages. They have advantages related to their location that is in the middle of two big mountains, that is Merapi and Merbabu. And based on that ones, they want to attract people to come, not only sightseeing related to the scenery of these mountains, but also provide the experience of the people to have just like trekking, and they have soft trekking, hard trekking, and then also the opportunity for the visitors just like to do the outbound or others. And during that visit, the tourists can also have the experience, just like experience on the local cuisines, experience related to the local dance, and something like that. So this is the product that they make them has the standout point in their competitions. But there's also too risky if the segmentation is too segmented, too niche. And then finally, there's no people or only few people come to that area. And the other point in here is they need to be flexible when they decide what kind of product that they will offer. It can be for various options related to the budget or time or duration, just like they have just like only a short time, just like maybe a very budget package until very complete package related to that kind. And they also can have a customized package. This is my conversation with some of the tourist provider when we arrange a visit in that area. They ask me, what are your expectations on this visit? Just like, okay, I expect that my group will have that kind of experience, and then they will decide what kind of package that we can do, and they offer me some budget, and they say that for this budget, for the budget, it depends on the activity, and we can customize it. So it's very it's very flexible for the tourists to do that, and yeah, it can attract more tourists. Compare with that one is not flexible, and then finally the tourists say no. We cannot do that kind of activity, maybe related to the budget, related to the time, or maybe related to the activity itself, maybe it's too risky or not interesting, or maybe too boring or something like that. And then the other challenges is related to the peoples. As I mentioned before, that when we develop rural tourism, actually we applied community-based tourism. That tourism activities are by and for the villagers. So the challenge in here is how to work together with the villagers. Indeed, working together has the advantages related to the collective action that we can do together, and then there will be benefit related to the sense of belonging, related to the benefit from the all, and finally we are happy together. But also there's some issue related to how we can work effectively, because maybe we have some conflict related to the people. Maybe there are some people who argue or disagree with the decision of the entrepreneurs, and then it will make some issue maybe related to the equity of the benefits. Some of the village or some of the group say that no, we didn't get anything from this tourism development. That's why we against the tourism development of this village. Yeah, there's a lot of issue related to working together, and also this opportunity. There's a chance that when we work together, there will be contra, or there will be some challenge from the competitor. That maybe just like maybe the entrepreneur are the business persons in that in the area, and then the other business person think that, oh, why this is very good activity and very benefits, the profit is very good, so I will develop another one. So this is kind of competitions, and that is not really good actually if we work in the same area, and then it will influence the dynamics of the community itself. So yeah, working together with the peoples, or particularly the community, is not easy. And the other one is how to develop the networking, particularly with local government, because the tourists, the village need to have support from the local government, also with the other private sector, because there's also opportunity to have the collaboration with other sectors. Okay. I think that's all, Pak Sarif, related to my presentations. Maybe we can continue when in the discussion sessions. Thank you, Pak Sarif.
Okay, thank you to Maya for the interesting topic. And let me summarize the material before we go to the discussion sections. According to the material from Maya, I think we need to develop the tourism entrepreneurship to stimulate the economic growth, and it play an important role in the creation of jobs, including hospitality, transportation, entertainment, and of course contribute to reduce unemployment rates in villages, in some villages in Indonesia. And according to the best practice in Indonesia, there is a common concept of tourism rural development, that is CBT, or community-based tourism. From this concept, villagers can provide several tourism attractions such as agriculture, rural lifestyle, and culture. And I think more than this this list, I think. And now we can go to the Q&A, question and answer sections. From the chat box, I read there are more than there are 10 questions, 5 questions for Professor Nizam, and 5 questions for Dr. Maya. However, because we have a limited time for this section, so let me read 2 questions for each speaker, and I will continue to the other question if we still have the time. The question for Professor Nizam is from Mr. Ian from FISIP UIN Sunan Ampel, Surabaya. The question is for Professor Nizam. What are some effective strategies for promoting implementing sustainable tourism perspective? And then the second questions is from Maya Suryaning Tias. Thank you for the presentation, Professor Nizam. Let's say the project is success and we can transform the household to be an entrepreneurial family in tourism, or it is arguable that they also change their livelihoods, let's say from farming to the tourism industry. How do you make sure the sustainability of local commodity? And yeah, after that, I will read the question for Pumay. Please, Professor Nizam.
Thank you very much, Bapak Sarif. For the first question by FISIP, what I try to put into the context in my presentation is that we should review back what we define as a sustainable tourism practices, and this by allowing the existing economic developed by the local community, in this case is family business, to be continued. And we do not harm them. We do not ask them to use our strategy, but rather try to help them expanding their business. So for me, if we can allow them and facilitate them in terms of the spatial developments, for example, they can have this business here, but please make sure that the quality of the accommodation up to the standard, the safety, security is everything in place, and then it will be good for the physical planning. But in terms of the sustainable tourism practices, they will continue to grow by themselves and by their generations, and probably involving the other local community as their counterparts in the business of the tourism. So for me, the idea of having them into the economic, which they already sustain it for a long time, will be supposed to be seen as a sustainable development. Then we must secure this. So this is my point of view. Of course, it's open to debate if some of the family business controlling and doing the monopoly. There is the risk, but the sustainable tourism practice should consider the people not only involved with tourisms for a short time period. Probably we try to introduce them with the project. Most of the what happening in Malaysia, we try to introduce a project helping them, and then it's only appeared to be successful for 2 or 3 years, and after that, when the government no longer helping them, especially in terms of the fundings, they're not able to continue the programs. This is the issue what is happening in Malaysia. We have a lot of programs, like what has been said by Dr. Maya in 2000, 2001, 2005. I'm visiting all of them, and they're having a good program homestay for the foreigners. But yet, only let's say 2 out of 10, which has funded at the early stage of the development, finally continue. Only 2 of them, and because the idea that they do not see it as a business entity. That's how I think to see the uniqueness of developing country like Malaysia and Indonesia. I think the concept of family business must be taken into place, must be considered as one of the way to reach the sustainable development. Hopefully can answer you, Phisips, on this matter. The second one, okay, this is a very interesting. People always say that somehow if the community change the economy from tourism to for example, the agro-tourism to tourism, it will harm the community. It's true if that destroy the community. Okay, if you allow the tourism activities and they change or diversify the economy into tourism as their priorities, but they still manage to evolve and fully using the resource without harming what is existing in the village, I think we should allow them to having the tourism activities as their as their main economy and probably as a permanent jobs. But not to the extent that we allowing them to destroy themselves with high dependency on tourism only. For example, in Tioman, during the monsoon where the arrival of tourists is very slow. This is where I'm going to Tioman, for example, next week during the monsoon. We want to see what they did. Because they have less number of the tourists, but how they convert their accommodation, their activity daily by taking the tourists into the deep seas has changed during that period, and they still can sustain their economics. So this is my point of view. It means that if they change to the tourism, let's say 90% of the activity economics is fine. It's still fine as long as this not harm the uniqueness, the uniqueness of the village or the community. If not, and then yeah, there is something else. This is why there is an importance of what had been said by Dr. Maya as well about the having local champion. The local champion will become the guide how far it can go It doesn't mean they're only the head the village. The local champion can be the people with business minded and know what to do to sustain the economy and where not to. Okay, so that is my answer for now.
Thank you, Prof. Nizam, for the answer. And the two questions are for Umaya. First question is from Ida Apriliani. Are there any example of successful rural tourism development in Indonesia? And what is the main difficulty in doing it? And the second question is from Sandika Putra Nugroho. Okay. What collaborative efforts are essential for successful rural tourism entrepreneurship, and how can stakeholders be effectively engaged, and how do entrepreneurs build partnership with local business, government agency, and non-profit organization for mutual benefit? Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Sarif. Okay, the first question is from Mbak Ida, related to the example of successful rural developments in Indonesia. Actually, there's quite a lot, and it's the data is quite progressive. I mean that, for example, I think I and Pak Sarif visiting Penting Sari before in Yogyakarta is quite successful, and then they're very famous, and the leaders already invited to the others village to share their experience, and then they can gain some award from the governments. And I think the difficulties of those successful story is, I think the first one is the local champions. I think if there's no local champion, they need to find it first. And then usually the local champions or the one who has entrepreneurship, sometimes they are quite hidden. Examples, that's like the one that I met before is he's quite young and has the entrepreneurship, but he said that I need to give respect to the people who older than me to be the leaders. Yeah, just like giving respect to the elderly, something like that. So yeah, that one is they need to find the real local champions, and then the entrepreneurs itself, and then the entrepreneurs need to find they need he or they need to find the product, as I mentioned before. They also need to map not only the products but also the characteristic of the people for each area. Just like, for examples, in Samiran village, one of the hamlets, that's the sub village, are very specialized on the product related to the milk, for example, and the other one is very specialized on the dance, and the other one is very specialized on the other ones. And the entrepreneur need to think what is the main priority, and they, based on the budget or maybe based on the dynamics of the people in there, he or she need to think the long-term strategy, which one is the priority, and then the other ones is the following by that ones. And also the other challenge is related to the regeneration. Some of the local champion is they are not in the youth one, the young generations. They need to think about the regenerations. Okay, I think for Ida, I hope that I can answer your questions. And then for Sandika. Sandika is, I think I need to, it's related to the collaborative efforts. I need to, I think, Sandika.
Yeah, it is about collaborative effort and management, perhaps.
Yeah, collaborative effort indeed. Yeah, indeed, that is quite challenges for the particularly for the people in there. But actually, the villagers first they can be convinced if they know that the strategy or the activity are been give the benefit for them and no harm from them, just like no negative or no cost for or no negative effect or less negative effect on them, and indeed that people can gain benefit or gain profit on that ones. And then the other one is how to engage people on this collaboration is Pak Nizam mentioned before about the trust. And then it's maybe it's as I mentioned before about are they local people? If the entrepreneur are local peoples, it's easier to gain the trust from the villagers. But if not, maybe it's quite difficult because they need to to perform that the entrepreneurs don't have any negative how to call it negative motivation. They just have a good motivation to develop this tourism or the rural area. So the trust is very important. And then the benefits, they need to see the benefits sometimes. And then if they don't see the benefits on that self, and they can see it from the success story. So usually for the rural tourism in the earlier stage, the actors, they have a trip or they visiting the success story, and they learn from the success story, and then they are more motivated, and then they have willingness to work together. And then related to have partnership with local business, in business always they think about the profits, and then the governments usually they need to be convinced that their programs, the program of rural tourism has the benefit as well, or benefit from the community as a whole, not only for the particular persons. So, and they also need to be convinced that this is the something that sustainable. It's not only a short-term activities, something like that. And then for the non-profit organization, I think we need to think about the fitness or the fit or the whether the how to call it the missions or the activity of the organization are how to call it in line with the rural tourism strategy itself. I think that's all. I hope I can answer Sandika's questions. Thank you, Pak Sarip.
Okay, thank you, Pumaya. And we still have 15 minutes for discussion section. Let me read two questions for Professor Nizam and two questions for Pumaya. The third question for Professor Nizam is from Ana Pudianti. I would like to know, compare with awareness of the sustainability of tourist village, does the desire of achieve economic prosperity dominates? Are people given training to balance the two? How does transgeneration influence achieving these goals? And then the second question is from Ahmad Jihan Muzaki. I would like to ask, is there any way to encourage the forming of family businesses from spatial planning perspective? And how do we keep them as the more developed an area is, the more inventors coming to take a share and eventually replace the local businesses? Yeah, please, Professor Nizam.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Sarif. For the Anna questions, I think the whole idea of the family business, the community empowerment using a family business approach for a long term and transition is to make sure that they dominate the prosperity. So if they will answer your questions, because the sustainability of the village is we have the example that I give to you is that the whole village depending on tourism. So it depends on how you see it. Both of the case study that I refer to you is 100% tourism, if I can say, or at least 18% tourism related activities. But for some villages that probably require diversities of the activities because of the probably there is things like a shock and seasonality and dependency of the economic according to the year. So for this kind of the economic activities, tourism became an options to what it can help when the economic base, for example, for the agriculture is at the very difficult phase. I find it was very difficult to understand what I discussed. If we try to look at the village who not dependency on the economic, that's why I say to my case, Anna, about I'm looking at the coastal area. I'm looking to the beach area in the island. So if you're interested to see how it's work in terms of the prosperity, how it was dominate based on generations, not to this area. Let's say the area that only 20% of the economy are based on the tourism. I think you can do the research by your own, and then I'm interested to know how the diversification of the economic, which is not relying on the tourism, is be able to help dominate the economy for certain populations in the village. I'm still looking at that as something that need to be discovered. Probably Indonesia have that examples. In Malaysia, I try to understand this. I have, and I do not have a definite answer on your questions. Okay. And then the second one by Ahmad Jihan, if I'm mistaken, about how I frame this into a spatial planning. Okay, I am town planners. I am a registered town planners, Jihan. Finally, I will look at how we can help in managing urban or regional planning in terms of the urban and regional planning. We have a difficulty to understand the uniqueness when it comes to the physical aspect of the planning. We in Malaysia, there is a tendency, for example, the local authority, if they look at the area have a potential for tourism, they try to help and then providing by a lot of infrastructure. And then sometimes the planning of the infrastructure are not referring 100% to the local community. They try to basically try to divide the lands, try to allowing some development, which finally the local community does not feel it belongs to them. My idea of the research is to make sure that some uniqueness of the local community, where they have the sense of belonging, sense of pride, to be preserved. So this is where the family business come into place. So basically, back when you're talking about social planning, we back to our very basic foundation of planners. We must protect sense of belonging. We must protect sense of pride of the community first. So to understand this, probably not all about the physical aspect. It's about the social emotional works. Yeah, that's why I address that. So hopefully it will answer your questions. again, no definite answer, but I try to put it into the debate, something that we can consider. Okay, thank you, Pak Sarif.
Thank you, Prof. Nizam. And then the next questions are for Bumaya. The question is from Gusti Ayu Putri Prasanti. I'm curious to hear your thought, your idea on how to measure or what measure can be taken to mitigate the potential negative impact of tourism entrepreneurship, such as over commercialization and the degradation of natural resources, and how can tourism entrepreneurs manage negative impacts such as gentrifications or changes in social structure in rural communities. And then the next question is from Maulana. I would like to ask, what are effective marketing strategies to introduce rural tourism destinations to a broader market, ensuring the sustainable growth of tourism businesses? As example, Tobin Pondok, Pondok from Klaten, Klaten or Seragen, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, please, Bu Maya.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Sarif, for the Gusti Ayu questions and for Maulana, very interesting questions. And for Gusti Ayu, how to mitigate the potential negative impact of tourism entrepreneurships. I think the most interesting thing about working in the rural tourism is, as I mentioned before, is they work with the community. So when they work with the community, they usually discuss about the progress. They usually has there's a situation when they need to evaluate their progress, and during that evaluations, they can mitigate what kind of the potential negative impacts. That is the benefit. I think that's the benefit of working with the community in the rural tourisms. And also, if they works in the Darwis or BUMDes or cooperative, usually there's the member of that kind of group is not only the actors or the entrepreneurs itself, but also the how to call it, the representative of the community that's already well known in that area, and he's quite has a big influence in that rural area. So that, I think, this is the most important and the good thing about working with the rural peoples, that you work together with them, you communicate with them, you discuss what next to do related to that ones, and how to during that evaluation they also can evaluate about just like the flow of the visitors, such as maybe it is too much, they need to do something. Just like if it's too much, there is some protest or some complaining from the other villages. For example, too many people, it means that it will be congestions or the traffic is annoying or something, and then they can evaluate that kind of things. And then the other one is they also can see whether the flow is not really good. They can evaluate whether they need to better strategy, maybe marketing strategy, or they need to develop another tourist product or something like that. So there's the advantage of working with the community. And this also for Maulana related to the marketing strategies. Yeah, marketing strategies is depend on the targeted audience or targeted visitors. If just like for the river tubings, if the targeted is the young generation, they can use social media, something like that. And then I met I think since last month I visited a new tourist village, and their target market is the kindergarten students. So they need to approach the schools, and then they need to do some presentations, something like that. They maybe social media is not effective for that kind of target market. So it depends on the target market itself. I think that's all, Pak Sarif, from me.
Thank you, Bu Maya, for the answer. And we still have a time, and we also still have stock of question, one for Professor Nizam, and three other questions for Bu Maya. Let me read the last questions, perhaps, for Professor Nizam. The question is from Farhan Aditya. Yeah. The question is, how can the trend of nice tourism interests and personalized travel experiences be leveraged by tourism entrepreneurs to create innovative value propositions? Please, Professor Nizam.
Thank you. I think this is very relevant to what has been what I have addressed in the presentations, because niche area always looking at how they're able to interact with the outsider, the potential customer or potential tourists or potential guests. That's mean the hospitality of the people who run the business is very important. So they will tell you what they can do, what can they accompany the potential tourists into the activities. So their words of mouth will be much, their words in convincing what they can do in the destination is far much better, rather than having a list of the activities or package by any tour operator. So if you're talking about trends, when you're talking about the niche tourism interest, personal travel, this is the people who can project their image as they want. Even in the same village, if they have several accommodation types, they can project their own image and different niche areas. So by having a family business, they can put it as good as they can, what they can offer. And this is what I call as a personalized travel experience. By doing, of course, from my case study, they also, all of their family members is good in doing this in the media socials, or even having their own websites. So this will help them to provide what we call and what you call as an innovative value proposition. So there is no need for the government to put their own propositions. They already did that for the own good of the place, and of course then the government, the local authority. So hopefully this answers your questions. Okay, so this is the point that I try to reach you, and then I think you're telling me the things that I think you understand what I said. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Farhan.
Yeah, and the three other questions are for Bu Maya. First question from Mas Asa Bintang. He is a lecturer as well in urban planning at Karimun University. And today he also participated in tourism village in Karimun. However, he has yeah, it has challenge because each village has a village own business and or PUM BUMDes, yeah, or PUMDes, which is able to encourage community-based business to support village tourism. But the people there do not have the capability and resources due to the high level of poverty, remote access to infrastructure, and regional isolations. So he needs your insight. What do you think we can do as scholars, as academia, to help them to develop tourist village in poor islands? And then the second questions is from Amin Tohari. What makes our product or solution special or different from the competitor, Mrs. Maya? And then the last questions is from Damara Cinta Cantika. Yeah. I want to ask about what concrete steps that can be taken to build partnership among tourism entrepreneurs, the government, and the local community, ensuring mutual support for sustainable development. Yeah, please, Umaya.
Thank you, Pak Sarif. I think this is for Mas Asa. Thank you very much for your questions. I really appreciate your effort to support the peoples in the Karimun's Islands. I'm not sure whether I can give you some good suggestion because it depends on the situation itself. I think first maybe you can do some mapping related to the actually what kind of potentials attraction in there, because if we after that, and then you can maybe talk to the governments related to the infrastructure maybe, or you can look at the BUMDes related to the village fund, whether they have some fund related to the infrastructure, for examples, and then you can try to find another support maybe from the GSR or something from the private sector. And during doing the mappings, I think we cannot do something like, for example, what I mean is here is just like, okay, there's no infrastructure, so we need to build solid pavement in there, and then something like that. Maybe if you look at the potential tourists, some of tourists sometimes they're looking for a particular experience, just like adventures, travel, for example. They try to looking something like that, something that a place that is hard to achieve, to go there, and then there's a particular experience. So please do the mapping first, and then afterward you can decide what kind of strategy to promote that village. And then from Amin, Mas Amin, related to the specials, make our product specials. Yes, indeed. First, you need to I think the first thing that you need to do is look at your potential, what kind of resources that you have, and then not only the list but also the performance of that products. And should we do something related to that once? Maybe you have spring water, but that one is in the dirty situation. The quality is not really good, so you need to do something like that. And then afterwards, you need to think what kind of activity that or what kind of experience that the tourist can gain in that area. So basically, tourists need a new experience. Basically, and the tourists need to have a memorable experience. So maybe you need to doing the mapping of the other competitors, what kind of activities that they want, and then you can do something. Okay, we are different in that way. Then you can do some specials or difference strategy related to the product developments. Okay, I hope I answered that questions. And then from Cinta, yeah, she's my student, and I call her Cinta. That's why I call her Cinta. And then Cinta asked me about how to build partnership. I think the first thing that you need to do is convincing the peoples or the actors when you are doing partnership, is convince them that your proposed activity or your proposed program have a benefit for the peoples. So, and then, for example, you need to convince the community that it will brings benefit from them, and then let's do together, and then we need to work collectively. And then you need to convince the governments or maybe the governments, because of the limited budget, they always ask whether this strategy has a potential benefit related to the community or is only wasting the money. So you need to convince them. So yeah, in that collaborations, the one who initiate the collaboration need to convince the actors about the benefit of these partnerships. I think that's all, Pak Sarif.
Yeah. Thank you, Pumaya. And yeah, the time is up for discussion session. So let me summarize our discussion today. Our fascinating discussions. I tried to summarize from our discussion, from the material, and also from Q&A. Probably, rural tourism is about trans-generation process by empowering the local people to rise to run their business in tourism based on their local product or local value. And from that, we can drive the sustainability of households and then the village and then the business itself. And from our discussion, I think there is rise questions for future discussion or perhaps for future research. Yeah, inspired by Professor Nizam, that we can measure the sustainability from trans generations, meaning we build the local business in industry, and then we empower the households to run the business. And yeah, because the households has changed, let's say from agriculture to be business or family, business, small business entrepreneur. So perhaps it could be considered for the future research or perhaps in our collaboration to measure the sustainability, not only from the trans generations, but from the business itself, and how the business is running, how business is adapting from the local challenge and also from outside challenge. And then we can measure the sustainability not only from the product, but also from the business itself. I think it is very, very interesting topic. And before I end my our sections, I would like to thank you for Professor Nizam and also to Maya for the material and insights and also the experience for this webinar. And let me give to Mbak Intan to lead the next section to end this webinar. Thank you, Mbak Intan.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Sarif. I would like to thank Prof. Nizam and Bu Maya. We know that's such an inspiring and fruitful discussion we have here today. And also thank you, Pak Sarif, for moderating the session. And before we close this event, we would like to say thank you all for the support from the honorable guest lecturer today. We are very honored to have you with us here this morning until this afternoon. And after this, for documentation purposes, we want to invite all participants here to open the camera. We will have some photo session. I will take the screenshot from here. Maybe we'll give you time to prepare the camera, please. Okay. Is there anyone who want to join to open the camera? Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much. And this event is about to come very end. I hope you found the presentation today are very informative and helpful and also insightful for us. And we hope that this event will bring an inspiration and the positive impact for all of us. Please forgive us for our shortcoming. We look forward to seeing you in the next international lecture series next year. I hope you all have a good day. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you,
Nizam, Bu
Prof.
Maya.
Nizam.
Dr. Maya, Ibu
Bye,
Landung, thank you very much.
Salam sehat.
Yeah, thank you.
Prof. Nizam dapat salam dari Pak Holi.
Ya, oke.
Semoga
Sampaikan
ketemu lagi.
ya, sampaikan salam juga pada dia.
Iya.
Oke. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.